What's going on, King of Kings family? Pastor Eric here. Happy Tuesday to you. I hope you are having a great week so far. I wanted to come to you with a update on where we are in our Connecting Point financial appeal that we began in earnest on June 5th with the invitation and the challenge to increase our giving from each of our households that calls King of Kings home by a sacrificial but achievable amount. We had our first batch of statement of intent cards come in over the weekend, and so I'm looking forward to sharing where we stand and where we need to go from here. But first, I just want to share with you a principle that that really became clear for me in my studies in Scripture over the last week. In Matthew 25, Jesus tells the parable of the talents, and in the parable of the talents, he tells of a wealthy leader who gives control of his financial affairs over to three servants. He goes on a trip. He tells them, I want you to steward these on my behalf, to invest them in the ways in which I would if I were still here. And there's an expectation of return when he gets back from his trip. And when he returns, he finds that two of his servants have done that and that they've had a return on investment. And he says, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a little. Now I'll put you in charge of much. Come celebrate with me in this. But the third servant didn't do what he was told. And so when the master returns, the response is far more harsh. And he does not get to celebrate in his master's joy because he did not have a return on an investment of the master's assets. He did not invest them in accordance with the master's wishes. There's a way in which God desires for us to invest these stewardship assets that he has put us in charge of: our time, our talent, our treasure. He wants a return on that investment. He wants us to produce fruit in our lives of joy and of peace and of patience and of kindness and of goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. He wants us to steward our assets in such a way that those fruits are produced in our own lives and that they're produced in the lives of others. And there's seasons of our lives where we have a perception of lack, that we don't have enough time, that we don't have enough talent to get done what we want to get done, that we don't have enough treasure financially. And sometimes that's because of factors outside of our control. But I do wonder if sometimes our perception of lack is not because of outside factors, but actually because we've not been stewarding those assets in accordance with how Jesus would if he were us, if he was in our situation. I think that's relevant to our stewardship appeal because this is an opportunity to do just that, to steward assets in accordance with how Jesus would if he were us. When we give generously to that which we are grateful for or to that which breaks our heart, we have this promise that we cannot outgive God, and that God will meet our needs as we are meeting the needs of others. And this appeal is a chance to participate in that. And so I hope as you prayerfully consider, if you haven't turned in a statement of intent already, that you would prayerfully consider that perhaps this opportunity to give sacrificially, but at an achievable level, perhaps this is an invitation and a challenge from God to steward those assets a little bit differently. And I think if you do that, you'll find that there will be enough. You will have enough to make sure your needs are met as you are committed to seeing the needs of others met as well. So just something to reflect on and to prayerfully consider, particularly if you've not yet turned in a statement of intent card. Okay, so here's to the update on where we stand. So we had on Sunday and leading up to Sunday, 32 statements of intent cards turned in, which is great. We do have about 80 households that have that contribute regularly or have envelope numbers, and so we don't have quite half of our households who've yet made a statement of intent, but 32 is a great start. And we've identified through those statements of intent and through the funds that are coming from the Southeast Michigan Synod as we re-enter redevelopment, that we are at about 70% of our goal of increased giving for 2022, which is absolutely remarkable. In the season of the year that we're in, summer's not typically the time when churches do stewardship appeals. With the stock market the way that it is and all the uncertainty in the world, this is not exactly an ideal time to be trying to close a deficit in our spending plan. And so within really a couple of weeks to identify $65,000, which is about what 70% equals, $65,000 in increased or new income for the church, I think is just amazing. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful to our partners at the Southeast Michigan Synod, but I'm grateful to you as partners as well in the ministry and in the mission that God has called us to. And if you're one of those households who's yet to turn in a statement of intent card, but you plan on doing it, please do so, preferably this Sunday or by this Sunday. We will take cards and count those towards the appeal up until June 26th. But I know that the further into June and into summer we get, the less regular church attendance is. And so if you can get those cards back to us as soon as possible, you can drop them in the mailbox here at the church. You can bring them on Sunday. You can email our treasurer, Jan Shubai, at treasurer@kofklo.org and let her know what you're planning to increase your giving by. You can do that as well without even turning in a card, and we'll count that towards the total. Our goal is $90,000. It's a big goal. It's a big deficit, but we're already, like I said, 70% of the way there, and we need your help to get us the rest of the way. And if you're one of those households who hasn't turned in a card yet and you're on the fence about whether you can increase your giving this year, I think what I would just encourage you to consider is the ways in which you're grateful for the ministry and the mission of King of Kings, the aspects of what God has called us to do here at King of Kings that tap into the things going on in the world that break your heart, and then to really ask God to show you and to give you the faith to take that next step in your generosity, trusting in the promise that you cannot outgive God. As I often say when it comes to financial appeals, I don't want anybody to give out of obligation. I don't want anybody to feel pressured to do something that is truly beyond what God is calling them to do. But all I ask is that you honestly and earnestly seek the Lord about whether there is a sacrificial but achievable increase in giving that you can make, and really listen to that. And don't just listen to that initial feeling of no, I don't know how I can do this, but listen for that second prompting, that third prompting, that maybe the Spirit is inviting you to trust. I've never found an additional step in generosity, in an increase of giving. I've never found that to be something that I regretted after the fact. It's always been a source of joy. Sometimes there's stress involved too, as I'm not sure how we're going to do that, how we're going to make that additional step of generosity. But every time I've done this, I've seen God meet us in that decision and make sure that we have what it is that we need for the life that God has called us to. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for generosity at all levels, whether you're the person that gave at the top of that table I showed you, or at the bottom of the table that you saw in the brochure. Whatever that increase in giving is, I'm grateful for it, and I'm thankful, and I can't wait to see what God is going to do through these steps of generosity that we're seeing across our family of faith. And so, yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. If you have any questions about the appeal, if you have any concerns, if you're in this spot where you're just not sure how you're going to find that additional margin, I have background in that. I can help with that. So just reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation about helping you take that next step in your generosity. All right, that's all for today. God bless. Have a great rest of your week. I loved the opportunity on Sunday to preach on breaking burnout before it breaks you, and I'm really looking forward to this coming Sunday to start giving you some tools and practices that will help you find renewal in your faith journey. And so we will see you then. God bless. Have a great week.